Reclaim your rhythm. Woo-hoo! And these ladies are rocking it in their red today for National Heart Awareness Month. It's Let's Talk Business with Cheryl J. Cusseau and company. And I am here with my second hour of the show co-host, Dr. Shanae Davis.
Hey. Happy Heart Month.
It is, and my heart is just palpitating. My heart is so excited. There's so much for us to celebrate. It's Black History Month, and some of the individuals that we're going to be talking about today, making strides in history and then making strides in health awareness and education for our health. We have a very special guest on, and for those of you that are tuning in live, thank you. You're able to catch the show on Let's Talk Business, Facebook page, In Touch News, Facebook page. We're streaming live. We're on YouTube, and we will tag each and every one of you because today's show is so important. So please take a moment, like and share, tag a friend. We want them to hear what our special guest has to say for you today. So welcome to the show that will be all up in your medical business, but this month it's all about the heart. So love your heart.
Yes.
Absolutely. Love your heart. And welcome to Heart Health Awareness Month. We know that African Americans are disproportionately affected by heart disease, as are many other chronic diseases, but this is Heart Health Awareness Month. We're going to talk about things that we need to know to stay healthy, to be proactive in our approach to preventing heart disease. Overall, over the past couple of decades, we've had more happen in terms of medicines going generic and availability and access to care. But for some reason, African Americans are still lagging behind when it comes to preventing heart attacks, preventing stroke, reducing our risk for those adverse cardiovascular outcomes. When we have all of these agents, and many of them are at very low cost to free in some instances. We have an amazing guest on board today, a representative from the American Heart Association, the Tampa division, Miss Kiana Cressman. She's going to tell us about what we're doing to target African American communities, what resources we have for Americans in general, and what strides we are making and can make, do more to make in the fight against cardiovascular disease. Thanks for listening to this, guys. How you doing?
Thank you. Hello.
Thank you, Dr. Davis. And we are going to officially introduce her in a moment. But you said something, Dr. Davis, that reminded me when your role model,
Dr. Gavin, yes.
Dr. Gavin was on the show, and you all were talking to me. My radio show listening audiences know about my husband and his heart condition, and you were telling us about trying some of the new drugs. And so because of you guys and breaking it down for us, we spoke to the cardiologist, the whole team, and you have to go through an evaluation before you can just start taking those drugs. But I'm happy to report today that because of Eliquis and that family of medications, that's what he's on, and we have been seeing steady improvement, all because of the caliber of guests that have been invited to be a part of this show and sharing that worthwhile information, particularly when it comes to our health. And so, yes, we're not promoting the drug. I'm just letting you know that because of Dr. Davis, we were able to go through that evaluation and get approved for that. So, woo to you, Dr. Davis.
Well, when we know better, we do better, and that's what the show is for. And
absolutely,
to make our community
let's see.
Consuming healthcare.
Let's see what we can do better and know better from our special guest today, Kiani L. Cressman. She is, I love this, Dr. Davis. She is an award-winning strategist. Take that in. Thought leader, executive, and health equity advocate, passionate about empowering people and communities to achieve their highest potential. With 2 decades of leadership experience in healthcare, Cressman currently serves as the Vice President of Health Strategies for the American Heart Association Tampa Bay. Amazing. She collaborates with community, scientific, business, and medical leaders to improve the health of our communities through initiatives that achieve population level sustainable change. Pressman's core focus areas are social deterrence, evidence-based policy systems, and environmental changes, and eliminating barriers that are drivers of health disparities. Again, Ms. Cressman, welcome to Let's Talk Business with SJC and Dr. Sinead Davis. Before you even utter a word, we want to hear more about this amazing woman, her work, her wisdom, and guess what? Something more about you, your passion. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I so appreciate that welcome and the time to be with you and Dr. Davis here today. A little bit more about me. I have been in healthcare my entire career. Have a passion for it because I've seen individuals in my family suffer from some of the same health issues or conditions that I advocate and educate the community regarding. So it's been a passion for me. When I was 11 years old, I watched my grandfather receive a blood transfusion while battling prostate cancer. And little did I know I would be on the other side one day, working in clinical laboratory medicine and working to make sure that we have a safe and adequate blood supply at one point for patients. That was the first part of my career. So I started out very young in health equity. I worked with sickle cell patients, and those patients face a lot of bias in the healthcare industry. I won't delve into all of that, but that's where my passion for addressing the need for underserved communities began, because I worked on the back end in the lab, actually preparing blood products for these patients. And I would see particularly what African American and Hispanic patients would face in the healthcare system. So that propelled me to go back to school, get a degree in business, had a natural knack for marketing. And I saw that many causes were not funded because of poor imagery. It was not communicated well. And so that is how I got into community engagement, healthcare marketing, and being an advocate and a face for our community and the causes that impact our community.
Wow. And that's a lot. As I was listening to her, Dr. Davis, I thought she was talking about me. And I'm serious. I knew from a young age that I would be in healthcare, from being a candy striper all the way. And to hear you say
Wow.
that, we have to have these conversations. One of the things that Dr. Davis has just pushed us and urged us to talk about our own personal struggles and in life and what we're going to. And even she came out about her diabetes just a couple of months ago. We do this so that we can engage the community and be able to help them, because I lost both my maternal and fraternal and maternal grandmother as a result of heart disease. Both died from heart disease and stroke, and heart attack and stroke. And so we have to let the community know. And then we have the next generation, we have to do better, which is one of the reasons you're on the show today. It's also Black History Month. And so you're our guest. I'd like for you to share with us, you shared with us about your family, but share with us about a particular person that made an influence in your life as we celebrate Black History Month. Ms. Cressman?
Sure. As we celebrate Black History Month, one of the people that made a huge impact on my life is Maya Angelou, who is no longer with us, the late Dr. Maya Angelou. And I do want to say, I want to give a tribute to my dad, who did pass away from hypertension because of the meds that impacted his kidneys. So it was really kidney disease, but it was brought on by hypertension. And so that's one of the things I know we'll talk about today, which is near and dear to my heart as well. But Dr. Maya Angelou was a huge impact in my life. From the time I was in high school, I wrote my senior high school paper on her books, her poetry, and how she boldly and unapologetically shared her voice, empowered and inspired others. So among many, she and my mother are two of my biggest inspirations.
Awesome. And our condolences for you. I can understand what you are talking about. Dr. Davis. She has many. We have so many, but she's gonna have to narrow hers down to one.
Well, today, when I looked over how we're going to roll out our discussion today, there are so many, but I couldn't help but to go back to my professional and also a personal mentor, Dr. James R. Gavin III.
Yes.
There are just so many accolades that he has, just racked up over an illustrious career. He was the first African-American president of the American Diabetes Association. He is an international diabetes and cardiovascular disease care consultant. He is past dean of the Morehouse College of Medicine or School of Medicine. There is the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, where he mentors for just on and on and on and on I can go. He really should retire. He has I'm like one of the low people on the totem pole of the caliber of individuals that he's mentored and guided over the years, but he just won't even stop working. Yes, that's Dr. Gavin, just a healthcare giant, just broad author, etc. But why I think that he deserves, even more, attention, and people should know about his works, to Google him, to look him up, to look at his contributions, is because he has done his due diligence by paying it forward to individuals like myself, others in research, in academia, from the bench to the bedside. He has mentored, he's guided, he's taught, he's instructed, and he's still going and he's still doing that. So my tribute is to my mentor, Dr. James R. Gavin.
And
awesome.
A great one, and
amazing.
has been a guest on our show not once but twice.
Awesome.
So he's a mentor to the listeners as well. You guys picked two great ones. There's so many. I will share mine towards the end of the show, because I want us to really, really delve into the conversation about being engaged with our heart health and why we should really give yourself a hug. If you're joining with us virtual, here is a virtual hug. Love your heart. Our guru in the house, our expert, Dr. Davis, is going to come and engage us in a short discussion about just that, healthcare and some of the disparities and disproportionate impacts. Dr. Davis,
absolutely.
Have the mic.
Absolutely. So certainly, African Americans are just some of the minorities that are disproportionately affected by heart disease. And I actually have the AHA most current statistics here, how, Black women and Black men over the age of 20, over 60% of men and 58.8% of women have coronary heart disease. In 2018, the cause of death of Black women or men over these of all ages were like 56,946, in men, and 53,641 in Black women. Cardiovascular death amongst Black people is the highest in the nation. Amongst other minorities, including, Asians, amongst white people, amongst American Indians, pretty much everybody, all disease has gone. Us, it's slightly higher or it's the same. Despite the medications that have, become generic and despite access being eased, despite having more access to healthcare providers and federally qualified community health centers, why hasn't, these statistics changed for us? We also have more diabetes, and that's a risk factor. We have more obesity, which is a risk factor. There are more or lower socioeconomic status when it comes to African American communities, which is one of those social determinants that Ms. Cressman focuses on career. There is much that we can do to help to make our community more aware so that we can more proactively approach prevention. And that's why we are here today. Because of the disproportionate impact of cardiovascular disease on our community, that not only affects us personally, but it affects our families. It affects our ability to earn an income, so we can't go to work, so that we can't have the car, so that we can't pay the rent or pay the mortgage, and it affects our ability to get foods and things like that to just have a normal quality of life. It affects all living. It may the mortality even have your energies will walk and less. So the impact is large. And again, that's why we're here today, to help raise awareness, to be more proactive in our approach to reducing the disparity.
And thank you so much. And that's why we have an amazing expert on the show today. And we want to give her the opportunity to share just a little bit, but we want you to share your American Heart Association contributions and the role that you're playing today. Ms. Cressman?
Absolutely. I know everyone is seeing in the media and hearing that we go red this month. As you both mentioned, this is National Heart Month. And Go Red for Women, which we celebrate. And it's basically American Heart, our model and signature women's initiative, in which we designed a platform to increase women's heart health. Of course, we are concerned about men as well, but most individuals don't know that cardiovascular disease is the #1 killer of women. It claims more women's lives than all forms of cancer combined. And so Go Red for Women was that platform that was established to increase women's health awareness and serve as a catalyst to basically change and improve the lives of women globally. Black females had a hospitalization rate of 240% more for heart failure, and Hispanic women had a hospitalization rate of 55% more for the same compared to white women. So it's important that we know our risk and that we know our numbers. And part of, as Dr. Davis eloquently shared, part of my role in the community is to address those social determinants, the access that we have to information. But once we have that information, how do we use that information to help improve our lives? And that's why the American Heart Association serves as a convener, where we aren't the direct to service provider. We don't provide the Meals on Wheels. We don't go and take all the blood pressures. But what we do is connect organizations with resources, because we are a trusted brand. Our science is trusted. We have evidence-based clinical information that helps to improve the health of our communities. And then we have the ground roots relationships with coalitions and community organizations. We work with all of the hospitals in Tampa Bay. And so there are several organizations that need that support, and we connect them with resources and funding so that they can serve the communities that are typically overlooked or not served, or in a zip code that increases their chances of early death.
Oh my goodness. And you really hit the nail on the head when it comes to us talking about our communities and engaging our communities. And I've shared this with our audience before, but let me take this opportunity, because we're reclaiming our health. We're loving our health. You have the campaign, We're Wearing Red Today. The event was kicked off last Friday, which is an annual event for you all to Go Red. And it's all about raising those funds. And it wasn't until, this was 15 years ago. And it wasn't until we had one of the Buccaneers came to our church, and my friend Jolie Cooper Nelson came, and they were looking for volunteers in the African American community to run a marathon. And we looked at those folk like they were crazy. Even though I had to go and research just how far a marathon was. I was like, God bless you, God help you. But he began to talk about the number, like you all are giving these stats today, imagine what they were 15 years ago. And as I listened to that statistical data in our community affecting our African-American women, I immediately thought about, I just lost both of my grandparents, maternal and paternal, women, mothers, grandmothers, to heart disease. And had to have been the Lord, because that day, it just touched my heart. And I said, what do I need to do to sign up? And they trained us. Yes, y'all. You don't run the 26.2 miles. You train to run 20. And for me, it was the grace of God that got me to the 26, but it was the 0.2 that just about took me out. And here's a great opportunity, and I am using this opportunity to say, here's an amazing organization that we need to support. We as a community, we as a culture, we hog up the resources. We do. So yes, if I can run 26.2 miles and the Florida community raised over $2 million, I am putting a personal appeal out here. We will put the link, but to claim your rhythm, in doing so, make a donation.
Yes.
If you've been touched by someone with heart disease, like so many of our family members, even as our co-host just mentioned, write the check, make a donation to the American Heart Association. I'm going to turn this back over to my co-host.
Thank you.
Cheryl.
What?
Or has been motivated. I'm there at 26.2 miles to be. I know that in addressing your social, that I hope my internet connection is
Dr. Davis, we're losing you intermittently.
Yes,
we need to do a check to see if it's the show, if it's us, is it the Zoom, or is it just your location?
Okay, I'm going to try that once more. So okay. I'm not that motivated yet to reach the 26.2 miles. But what did motivate me was yeah. But what did motivate me with the Heart Association's Go Red focus on first Fridays, or the first Friday of every February, is the imagery. And the focus on Black women, giving impact on us that cardiovascular disease makes. So before we go to the break, Ms. Cressman, I'd just like for you to talk about that imagery. What has Heart Association done to improve the imagery and the messaging with connecting with Black Greek letter organizations and others like Links?
Absolutely. One of the things, as you just heard, I just shared some statistics that impact us. That's actually one of the things that I really respected before coming to work for the organization. Seeing the work that it was doing, not only on a national level with these organizations, the Greek letter organizations and the Links, but seeing the local work. So just last weekend, there's a community impact director on my team who was at the Delta Sigma Theta event that they held, and they did Zumba. She was there educating with information on proper sleeping habits, proper overall well-being, just information. We gave away cookbooks, quality cookbooks that talk about low sodium and what are the good fats. And so you can see in some of our imagery that we are the face of several campaigns, and that there is a more inclusive approach to how we educate the community and share statistics around heart disease. And so it was critical for me to share that losing one woman to heart disease is too much, and particularly because stroke is the third leading cause of death among Black women. And they are more likely to die from a stroke than a non-Hispanic or white women or Hispanic women in the United States, Black women. And so you will see us Zumbaing in the community. We just did an event with the AKAs here in the St. Petersburg area, and they did AKA Goes Red. So Pink Goes Red. And so they hosted a community conversation where we brought in one of the doctors from our network, a cardiologist that we work with from Tampa General Hospital, was on their panel. talked about the link between COVID and heart disease. So these are some of the things that and she's a Black physician. So these are some of the things that we're doing to connect with the community. And it's just the beginning. But one of the biggest things that I love about Heart is health equity to us is meeting people where they are. So we want to come right to you. Being on amazing shows like this, however we can align with our clinics and community partners, there are several things we're doing to step up and make the world aware.
My chapter, Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, that
awesome.
I a little bit.
Uh-huh.
The Tampa alumni chapter of Delta Sigma Theta.
Yes, okay, yes.
Absolutely.
It was awesome.
My amazing president is Soror Tiana, Dr. Tiana Richardson. She also was on TV News too. It was a absolutely fabulous event. I'm also fortunate to be on the board of the Central City YMCA, where we are the urban core board, and actually why am I just drawing a blank here? But my board actually connected me with you, Miss Chris.
Yes.
And we're doing a lot to connect communities that need healthier ways of eating with the hardest.
Yes, and I can touch on that. I heard it breaking up a little bit, but thank you. I'm so glad that Lauren Reyes, the VP of Operations for the YMCA, she connected us, and it's such an honor. So grateful and glad to meet you both, Cheryl and Dr. Davis. But yes, we are launching with the YMCA. We're going to start with 2 sites, which is Central City and I believe a northern site, where we will establish a systematic community blood pressure monitoring program, in which Heart has connected the YMCA with the clinic and then also the resources to get blood pressure cuffs, because we don't want to just know our numbers. We want to be able to take action, and we want to be able to, that's where sustainable change comes in. Not just knowing your numbers, but then how am I following up, and what resources and information do I have to maintain healthy cholesterol, healthy blood pressure, body mass index, all of those things that impact cardiovascular health. So at any rate, we are partnering with them, which will be launching soon. We decided to start with 2 sites, Central City being one of them, where the YMCA staff will use the American Heart Association educational evidence-based resources to educate the community. We'll educate them, so screen them from hypertension, educate them, and then circle them right back into a partnering health clinic, so that they can monitor their numbers and know what's accessible to them in the community. And we also do this with clinics all throughout Greater Tampa Bay, where we'll adopt a clinic, connect it with a funder who will supply those blood pressure cuffs, so that we can support the community in that way and make sure they have the information and connection to our local clinics.
Absolutely. I had a lot of breaking up there, but it's my prayer that the information went forward. So on the other side of the break, we're going to talk about how we can make even more of those connections with our YMCA, with the Heart Association, with our churches, with our Black letter organizations, with whomever we're connected to, because if we're minority, we're at risk, and we need to know. And when we know better, we do better. And this is all about knowing how to reduce our risk and proactively approach our individualized risk for heart disease.
Yes,
you are
absolutely
right. And one of the things Dr. Davis always shares with our radio listening audience is to make sure that they know their numbers. We're going to take a commercial break, and guess what? If you've got your cup handy, take your blood pressure. See what your number is today, because we really want you to move and groove. And the only way you can really do that in a great way, to know those numbers and to do what you need to do. So back in a moment, we'll turn off our videos and audio, and we'll see you back in 2.
Cancer affects everyone, but minority populations are often hit hardest. Moffitt Cancer Center is working to address the barriers that keep some groups from getting the care they need. African Americans develop cancer at a younger age, have more aggressive cancers, and experience worse outcomes than the general population.
While cancer treatment is evolving with precision medicine, who is being left behind? We know for many decades that some groups experience a greater burden of cancer than others. We can prevent it, we can detect it early. It's very beatable when we find it early. I have worked with cancer patients during their treatment. All cancer patients have courage.
So my treatment was about 18 months. I had 3 cancers and 7 surgeries. But my son told me, like, Mom, you're the strongest person that I know. Moffitt saved my life.
During COVID-19, Moffitt is a safe place for your cancer care. Call now to schedule an appointment.
Strong, beautiful women take charge of their lives, and it starts with learning the facts. Did you know that most women diagnosed with breast cancer have no known risk factors or family history, and it's more deadly for Black women than any other race or ethnic group? But it doesn't have to be. If you're over 40, regardless of your race or ethnicity, you need to get a mammogram every year. Early detection saves lives. Talk with your doctor about the best screening plan for a strong, beautiful you.
Champions don't quit, but there's one kind of quitter I admire: former smokers. If you're over 55 and still smoking, or even if you quit years ago, talk with your doctor about lung cancer screening, even if you have no symptoms. It's quick and painless. Lung cancer is the nation's most deadly cancer, but screening can better the odds. Ask your doctor if it's right for you. Together, we can be champions over cancer.
And we are back. Welcome back to Let's Talk Business with SJC and my co-host, Dr. Sinead Davis. It is the 4th hour of the show, and we are engaging you, the community, with heart health information. Welcome back to our guest, Ms. Kiana Cressman. Dr. Davis is going to continue her conversation, and we certainly hope that we can get through it without any technical difficulties, but we do apologize if you saw some choppiness and some breaking up, but we're going to continue to move forward because Ms. Cressman's line is clear, In Touch News is clear and ready to go. And so thank you. We'll come back and talk a little bit about Black History Month as well. Dr. Davis?
Absolutely. And thank you so much again for being with us. Ms. Cressman. Shout out to Lauren Reyes from the YMCA.
Yes.
And for making this connection, because there are just wonderful resources that AHA has that our community needs to know more about. So we actually began this show 3 years ago, Cheryl and I, in February for Heart Health Awareness Month. And we used to begin our show with a story. And heart health touches us so as African Americans. We all have a story, and these stories keep coming. Just a couple of years ago, on the 3rd of March, I lost a very dear friend and soror to a sudden heart attack at the dear tender age of 45. Tamara was beautiful. She was an actress. She was a performing arts educator. She went to church with her husband. She had a hamburger. This was an exception to the rule. So this wasn't a regular dietary, habit of hers. She just didn't eat fast food and things like that all the time. But she had a hamburger this particular Sunday, and got a little heartburn, got a little nauseous, and then she went to lie down. After a couple hours, maybe 2 hours, she got up, she threw up again, and then she collapsed. And that was it. That was it. Looking at her symptoms in hindsight, when she started to have the indigestion type symptoms, once she got home, the sweats and the nausea, and the fatigue, that was actually the beginning of her heart attack. She went to lie down, and, the ending of the episode, woke her up before the end. I start this second half with this story because women don't always have those typical symptoms, the stereotypical Fred Sanford, oh my heart, please come help me type of, symptoms to have, someone, have time to make that 911 call. It's important that we recognize the symptoms, our risk factors, what we can, experience beforehand. So again, that we can proactively address those things. Tamara was an actress, and there were other stressors in her life. She didn't have a family history that she knew of. Her diet, for the most part, was good, and she was not, overweight. So, in reclaiming your rhythm and these other initiatives that the Heart Association has put in place, what else is there to talk about those little known factors? What about our stress? What about, our diet? For those of us that have access to the internet, that when we can, search for information, what are those, things that the Heart Association is doing for our community to raise awareness of our risk factors? Tell us about
Excellent question. Yes, excellent question, Dr. Davis. I like to KISS, kids keep it simple and sustainable. So some of the things that we do are 8 practical steps that you can do to prevent heart disease and stroke. Number 1 is, and you mentioned this, you and Cheryl, know your numbers and know your risk. We are so big on encouraging individuals to determine your risk for heart disease, whether it be genetic in your family line. Heart disease did not run in my family, but on my biological father's side, diabetes did. So that was a critical piece that I know some of those elements and what I'm dealing with. Know your cholesterol, blood pressure, blood sugar. These are all things that impact your heart health. And if you're between the ages of 40 and 75 years of age and have never had a heart attack or stroke, you can actually use some of the tools we have on at heart.org to estimate your risk of cardiovascular disease. You can plug that in to estimate your risk for an event within the next 10 years. We have those resources at heart.org, and you can click on blood pressure. Number 2, the biggest piece is eating a healthy diet. A lot of people think the cure necessarily starts with medication, but we can medicate ourselves with the food choices we make. So that is a critical piece. And centering your eating, we have information for this, evidence-based information that we provide on heart.org with the American Heart Association. Fruits, vegetables, beans, nuts, limited sweet drinks and sodium. We even have cool, easy to read visuals for any level, yes. Whether you are a scientific award prize, winner with a lot of publications, to your everyday mom who is trying to make sure that she's just, providing healthy meals for her family. The materials that we have are a resource that are easy for anyone to read and understand. And so it talks about what is a healthy amount of sugar, healthy amount of sodium, all of these things. If we're telling you to watch your sugar and watch your salt intake, how do I do that? And we provide those resources at heart.org. Awesome. And also, I would just say with number 3, I'm not going to go through all 8, but being physically active. That is a key. And it's really, once again, where you are, whether you can do 26 miles or whether you just start with a 5-minute walk at your lunch break every day. That's something that I started with just to get myself in the habit of consistency. It definitely supports healthy heart activity. And we are consistent. Not just necessarily intense, it's consistency over intensity. How are we staying active on a daily basis?
Yeah, that 26 miles, I I can't ascribe to that, but I think the small steps on the way to 26 miles. At some point we'll get there. So
we'll get there.
So as I go,
so wait. So y'all gonna run with me next year?
I'm gonna run with your theory and I'm gonna support you in
there you go.
Heart. I absolutely am, Cheryl. But as I'm on heart.org, I look at these wonderful images. I see Black people, which is not a common but mellow out and reduce stress, get up and move and groove, feed your soul, rock your recipes, and then also something about Black History Month. Let's reclaim control of our well-being. I love that. Can you tell us more about how these images came to be? It's welcoming. It's something that we're seeing more, of it now with just inclusion, not just from a marketing standpoint, but it's important to see yourself represented when it comes to risk reduction here. How did those things come to be for the Tampa Heart Association, and where can we put more of ourselves into that, Cheryl and I?
So basically, and that's a great question, since we're talking business, the composition of our boards, the individuals that serve on our boards for the American Heart Association, as well as the leadership from the Division of Marketing and Communication, a lot of that comes from national leadership that we use so that we can remain consistent across the country. And because there is more diversity in our marketing and communication leadership from a national level, you can definitely see the impact of how diverse those images are. So I see that her screen. Okay.
That's okay. Keep going.
Yes. So that definitely impacts the diversity that we see in the imagery. It doesn't start with knowing that we need to do it. It starts with diversifying your leadership. And so because there is diversity in the leadership on a national level, our chief marketing officer is an African-American woman. And so there are other teammates that, and that's on a national level. So typically what they, and this is how most organizations work. I worked for the American Red Cross before, so we can all maintain that brand consistency, and that language is similar in every region. It comes from national, and then we implement it and share it with our partners. And so it's critical that we have board members who are diverse. We do have data and goals on what the composition of our board should look like because of the Heart's commitment to diversity. And then likewise, in that leadership. And how can you plug in us partnering together and talking about taking time, offline on how we can partner and how we can make that partnership meaningful. And then we can definitely, do some great things together. So we would love to do that. But yes, that is why the communications are diverse. When you diversify the composition of your boards, when you diversify the leadership that is responsible for creating the imagery, you can be inclusive. But if that is lacking, so will the voices of multi-cultures and multiple individuals that should be at the table and should be represented.
Dr. Davis, it sounds like she summed it up by saying, we got a seat at the table.
Yes.
My internet broke soon time.
Yes.
Listen, we know that Dr. Davis is coming in and out, and I'm going to continue with the conversation with you, Ms. Cressman. And so, because there are some things we want to get in, we talked a little bit about the Go Red and the whole women's campaign, and you guys just began that launch last week. But all month long, you will be educating us and providing us with information that will bring awareness to our community. What I'm hearing, and I've heard you talk about the Greek Society, I've heard you talk about the clinics and other initiatives. I do want to hear a little bit about faith-based. And is there something we as church members, I'm a member of New Mount Zion Missionary Baptist Church of Tampa, Florida, Inc., where my pastor is the Reverend Larry L. Roundtree. The second, Dr. Davis, is a member of First Baptist Church of College Hill. And if she was on, she would shout that out to you as well.
And so we are
asking, yes, Evan Burrows is the pastor there, and we both are very, very active in our churches. Both of our churches have healthcare ministries, and we certainly want to know if there's something that, and you probably are already doing something, but just know that we want to do our part as well. Ms. Gressman? Faith-based?
Thank you so much. Yes, near and dear to my heart, faith-based ministries and working with the faith-based community. One of the things that we are doing now, and I'll get more information from you about your church, the exact location with churches, it's called our Check, Change, Control program, where we check blood pressure, we educate on how to change it and how to control it. So we are partnering with several churches, and they're and we're happy to see so many pastors getting involved now. But we implement the program. It's 4 presentations, and we usually partner with the hospital, and we do the presentations on how to check, change, and control. We start with the very beginning on what is cardiovascular disease, all the way down to fitness, all the way down to how to identify the signs of a stroke. And then we present that information, and usually we provide some cuffs. So, and we also provide the technology. Basically, it's just a little data entry tool where the participants can enter in their blood pressure as they check it, like on a weekly basis in between the program. So the program usually lasts about 12 weeks, but we do 4 sessions in between that time. So everybody can be checking their blood pressure, tracking, and then coming back as we do another presentation. So that's one of the things that we do in faith-based communities. We're working with, I believe, Faith Memorial Baptist Church now. They are doing Check, Change, Control and some other ministries, and would love to welcome your church aboard. So if we, and there's other things that we can do, but that's just one of the things that we do within faith-based communities.
And are you still doing this, even though we are, we thought we were on the cusp of of COVID, but
we're doing it virtually. Yes, okay, we're doing it virtually. So yeah.
So there's no excuse, right? There's absolutely no excuse.
Yep. And as you mentioned, yep, we're working with the health and wellness leader of the ministry. She sends the Zoom information, and we come on and do the presentation. We engage and answer questions, and it's a great time. It's 1 hour, so it's not much time out of the Saturday of the individuals who participate. Sometimes we'll do it an evening session based on the organization. But yeah, it's 4 sessions that you attend, and in between, the health ministry is usually talking to the participants, answering questions, and it's just great. It's amazing.
It sounds amazing. But listen, I wanted to hear the rest of the 8 points that you were giving out, and if you could send those to us. Well, no. Sure. If you could send those to us, sure. We will put it in our thank you post, or just send us the link to them, and we'll put that in our thank you post as we share this information. The great thing about this show, we're live from 12:31 to 1:31, but you can catch the show at any time because of our Facebook Lives and because of YouTube. But listen, I'm going to put in a shameless plug because it is Heart Health Month. Love your heart. Well, one of my heartbeats, my firstborn, got married 5 years ago, and celebrating Valentine's Day out on the Malibu Beach in California. And I say this because he's very, very active. He loves to dance. He's also a comedian. That's the picture I get to remember. So congratulations to Alan Lane Rocky Cuso Sr., Mr. and Mrs. Alan and Micheline Cuso. I love you all, but I have to share this with you. She's a dancer, he's a dancer, and at their reception, when I tell you they danced, they brought the house down. This boy was so good. He danced all the way underneath her dress and grabbed the garter belt and danced, did a dive under there. They may have a post, but what good is having a show if you can't give shout outs to
oh my goodness.
Anniversary to my son and my daughter in love. Love them, love them, love them. Keep dancing and keep that heart strong so that you can one day perhaps be an advocate. She definitely is reclaiming the rhythm, Dr. Cressman, so you could not have picked a perfect time to tell us about what's important and giving us those 8 steps. I'm going to check in with Dr. Davis because she's got some health risks that she wants to go over, and it's going to be very, very important. And if she's clear, Dr. Davis, and if not, I'll go ahead and do my Black History announcement, and then you can come back in. Dr. Davis?
that is allowing this clear on this, allowing me to get these other talks about that age, being that area, the gender, women being, so much more at risk after menopause, those genetic factors being minority, also your diet and your cholesterol and your blood pressure being a huge factor, making sure that your body mass index is in a good range. Under 30 is not obese. 25 to 30 is a little bit overweight, but when we're talking about ethnic people, it doesn't take into context the bone mineral density. So as long as you are under 30, you are doing pretty well. Remaining physically active, making sure that you have enough produce going on, things that grow, fruits and vegetables, having a real colorful diet, making sure your blood sugar is under control, that you're not smoking, that you're knowing that what your numbers are, and that you're speaking to a healthcare provider, a primary healthcare provider, because primary means prevention. Knowing what your numbers are and preventing disease, those are the most important things to do to prevent cardiovascular disease.
Oh
I love that. Thank you.
Uninterrupted. Thank you so much for controlling the internet. Thank you, Dr. Davis. Well, Ms. Cressman, we want to at least hear your final thoughts, and then I'll do our Black History shout out and our announcements. Ms. Cressman?
Yes, the final thoughts are we are your partner here in the community as the American Heart Association. And so not only can you go to heart.org, but if you have any questions, you can definitely reach me directly at kiana.cressman@heart.org. And we just look forward to partnering with you, Cheryl and Dr. Davis, and doing some great things to improve the health of our community. My husband and I just moved here last March, but like I said, I've been in, so it'll be a year in March, but I've been in healthcare my entire career. So to have this time with two brilliant women such as yourself in your amazing community, thank you so much. So we're excited to partner.
You are so welcome. And Dr. Davis and I, we are troopers, and we are true to what we say. So we are here with you. We look forward to getting together with you and celebration on your almost 1 year anniversary. It's so, so important. I love everything that you have shared with us. I like the concept of KISS. Looking forward to hearing all 8 steps. The fact that you're working with our faith-based organization, Check, Change, Control. You guys are doing it, but we have a seat at the table, and that's what's so very, very important. So we thank you. We started the show talking about Black History Month, and you heard both of my co-hosts and our guests share about the people that made influence in their lives when it comes to history. There are so many, but what I have to do today, she is one of my sheroes, and that's attorney Geraldine Williams. Miss Williams was one of the first Blacks to be enrolled at the University of Florida. And since 3 of my kids went to University of Florida, shout out to them. She has led a number of aggressive minority focused based initiatives for us to have a seat at the table, for us to be able to enter those colleges. But I heard some really, really sad news from her the other day, and she's doing great. She is on a committee with the Zion Cemetery committee, where you don't know this yet, Ms. Cressman, but one of the first Black cemeteries in the city of Tampa, Zion Cemetery, had a federal housing project built on top of our descendants. My historical figure that I am honoring today, Miss Williams, has learned through extensive research that her great-grandmother, Anna Rebecca White, was one of those individuals. I went to the site, Dr. Davis, myself, to see what these families may have been going through, and to see it's devastating. She is actually having a memorial wake and repast to honor her great-grandmother. And Ricky, if we have that information, we'll put it up. We will certainly share it on our post. But she's been a trailblazer from the time she was a youth. And here she is at a time in her life, like Dr. Gavin, where she should sit back. She is still practicing law, and she is still making a change in our community. And there's so many of our ancestors that lie under, and it's happening in various states all over the U.S.
All over the United States, yeah.
But it's right here in our neighborhood robust heart. And as a result of that, that's going to take place on Thursday, February 17th. So talk about Black history. She gets to have this almost New Orleans style memorial in honoring her great grandmother. And when you think about that, and you think about what these families are going through, and you go to that site, it breaks your heart. And to sites all over, and to those, and we personally, if we have not done our research, we should, because some of them could very well be our ancestors, and that's what I'm in the process of doing. But I shout her out in the trailblazing historical impacts that she has made, not just in our community, but for my kids to be able to enter that institution, for my family members to be able to enter that institution. My aunt is a graduate of that institution. You know, Betty Jennings, my cousin Ed Jennings, former state representative of Alachua County, all came from that institution, and so many others. But she was one of the first, and that's what makes it historical. And that's who I would like to take this opportunity to shout out. And oh, there it is, Anna Rebecca White. And so to be able to go back and do that and honor her in such a special way. So for those who are listening, and if you're free, let's help her celebrate that rich heritage of what her great grandmother left. And while she's resting, that site is being decimated. And so that it just breaks your heart. And I had to share that with you. I respect her. She was our women's health hero last year with Miss Yvonne Mache. And listen, by the way, Ms. Williams is coming out with a trilogy, 3 books, and we're so looking forward to that, talking about her trip to Africa, talking about having sat at the table with Nelson Mandela. These people are right here in our community. Right in our community. And so it's important for us to use our platform. And Dr. Davis and I are committed to doing that, being a voice and letting people hear. And also, we didn't have the picture last week, but I say again, shout out and thank you to the city of Tampa, because they launched their Black History Unsung Heroes. And there were 12 individuals. And I was just one of the small persons in the number, but a very, very well attended and a great program showcasing doctors and lawyers and just individuals that you've never even heard of. But they did it, and they do it every year. And Ricky, if you have that, we'll put that image up or that picture up. But this is our way on Let's Talk Business with SJC and Dr. Davis of saying congratulations to all 12 of the city of Tampa's unsung hero honorees. A beautiful calendar has been made, and each of the honorees are represented on a full page. It's their picture and their bio. Beautiful calendar. And then the city talked about some very crucial properties that Blacks owned, and they're now making them already into museums. So as we near the last couple of minutes of our show, again, Ms. Cressman, and on behalf of the American Heart Association, we say thank you.
Thank you.
Your insights, and such a beautiful woman. And we are fortunate to have you in our community, and we're ready to sit down and talk to you. If Dr. Davis can come back for a minute and sign us off, but to all of our radio listening audience, to our engineers at In Touch, from our Facebook live stream to our YouTubers, we appreciate you and we thank you. But this information is only as important as it is if you share it with others. So please, for Love Your Heart, love 10 people and post this video. Dr. Davis?
Thank you so much again, Ms. Cressman, for your time and willingness to partner up with us. Also, we just look forward with this show. So as we like and share what we've seen today and watch it over and over again and share it with our communities of influence, we have those resources of the Heart Association there. Connect with you, like Primary Diabetes Specialty Care. That's my organization. How we can share your information and also partner with you to disseminate more information on how to prevent heart disease.
All right. Well, again, we say thank you. Join us next week for the 3rd hour of the show when our guest will come back. She's doing a part 2 series, and we certainly don't have a problem, Ms. Gressman, with you coming back doing part 2. Our guest on next week will be Michelle James Bradley. She will be coming from Tax Pro of Tampa. Yes, and she's doing part 2 because guess what? In 2022, your taxes are due.
Yeah.
So if you still need that contribution, let it kick off in 2022 by making your donation to the American Heart Association for 2022. Thank you all. This show
is a wrap.
Wrap it up.
Record.